You guys, Donald Trump has a new best friend. No, it's not J.D. Vance or Vladimir Putin. It's New York City Mayor-elect Zohran Mamdani. Look at Trump's face. Look at how happy he is. He looks like a 5-year-old meeting Mickey Mouse. For more on this, it's time for a closer look. Before they met on Friday, relations between Trump and Mamdani had been frosty, to say the least.
Mamdani, whatever the hell his name is.
The Mamdani thing is it's a disaster waiting to happen.
He doesn't have what it takes.
I think he's terrible. He's a communist. Frankly, I've heard he's a total nut job.
We don't need a communist in this country. A lot of people are saying he's here illegally.
The Democrats have crossed the line. Zohran Mamdani is a 100% communist lunatic. He looks terrible. His voice is grating. He's not very smart.
Some people have compared him to a left-wing version of you, charismatic, breaking the old rules. What do you think about that?
Well, I think I'm a much better looking person than him, no?
I think that answer is why they gave Trump his recent MRI. His doctor heard him say that and said, "Hey, buddy, what do you say we slide you into this big old tube for a little bit?" "Okay, but before I go in, I'm hotter than Mamdani, right?" "Oh, yes, definitely. Just get into the tube. Just get into the tube." Clang, clang, clang. Even worse, he asked it as a question. How do you respond to something like that? I mean, he sounds like a husband who's insecure about his wife's new trainer. "Hey, honey, I'm better looking than Jason, right?" "Oh, yeah, no, he's way too tall for me. And, he can barely move his arms with those huge pecs. No, thank you." So the stage was set, and heading into their meeting on Friday, right-wing media were ready for sparks to fly.
A showdown headed straight for the Oval Office. Soon, President Trump will meet with New York City's mayoral-elect Zohran Mamdani, a man he's called a communist and a danger to America.
A political showdown headed straight for the Oval Office.
We are just minutes away from what could be a major showdown at the White House.
And as you saw, there's plenty of bad blood between the two.
Is this a meeting in the Oval Office or the Octagon? They sound like 1940s announcers before a boxing match. It's the Blondon versus the Mamdon as a couple of kings from Queens are facing off in the Oval Office. Trump says he will mess with the Zohran, while Mamdani promises rents are the only things going down. The anticipation was so high, there were crowds waiting for Mamdani to arrive.
It is actually the busiest I have seen it out here.
You see the huge group that is gathered on the White House complex, everybody waiting for the arrival of New York City's Democratic Socialist Mayor-elect Zohran Mamdani.
Oh my God, I haven't seen a crowd this big since word got out that a store in my neighborhood was selling Labubus. So I sprinted there as fast as I could, not for my kids, but because I needed a friend for my lychee berry, and it turned out they weren't even real Labubus. They were knockoffs. Someone had just glued Pikachu ears to a Chia Pet. I should have known they wouldn't have Labubus at the A1 Best Deli. I don't even think their Doritos are real. The point is, the anticipation was sky high. Right-wing media had spent months demonizing Mamdani and making him sound like the antithesis of everything MAGA stood for. They were ready for fireworks, and they got fireworks. But they were more like those big old heart-shaped fireworks you see in a rom-com.
We've just had a great meeting, and I wanted to congratulate the mayor. He really ran an incredible race. I think you're going to have, hopefully, a really great mayor, and we're going to be helping him to make everybody's dream come true. I think he is going to surprise some conservative people, actually. A lot of my voters actually voted for him, and I'm okay with that. We had some interesting conversation, and some of his ideas really are the same ideas that I have. I expect to be helping him, not hurting him. A big help. I think this mayor can do some things that are going to be really great. I really think he has a chance to do a great job. Being the mayor of New York City is a big deal. I think you really have a chance to make it great. I appreciate what you're saying.
Mr. President, you say you love New York City.
And you know what's cool about him is that he's cool, but he doesn't act like he's cool, He's like nice to the jocks and the nerds. Seriously though, what the is happening? Either Zohran charmed Trump into embracing democratic socialism and undercutting every scare tactic the right has weaponized against him for the past 6 months, or the Molly Trump took right before the meeting kicked in. I just love this guy because I love everyone. I love all of you, the press. I love life. It's like I've always said, love is the answer. I remember a unicorn came up to me, big unicorn. Star-shaped tears pouring from his sparkling magical eyes down onto the rainbow he was riding on. And he said to me, Mr. President, sir, love is love is love. And I said, it's so true. I've never seen Trump this smitten before. This is a reminder, he doesn't work with a single cool person. He is surrounded by so many charmless goons that the first time he got to hang out with someone who had a little charisma, he swooned like he was on a date with the varsity quarterback. You'd have stars in your eyes, too, if you spent every day of your life with joyless gargoyles like Stephen Miller and J.D. Vance, and then you met a 34-year-old social media star who rapped in a halal cart and once appeared in an actual Disney movie. I bet before they were on camera, Trump was fully running down his own administration to Mamdani. It's so nice to be with a fellow cool cat. You should see who I have to hang out with. You ever meet J.D. Vance? Piece of advice, try not to. And Stephen Miller, my God, I've started wearing Depends because every time he walks into a room, I'm so scared I myself. Hey, you want to go up on the roof? The roof is cool. We go up on the roof tonight. It's so cool. You'll love it because you're cool. In fact, there were various points during this meeting where Trump actually jumped in to defend Mamdani from reporters' questions.
Mr. Mamdani, it sounds like you had a productive discussion, but just days ago you referred to President Trump as a despot who betrayed the country. You said you would be his worst nightmare and accused him of having a fascist agenda. Are you planning to retract any of these remarks in order to improve your relationship?
I've been called much worse than a despot, so it's not that insulting. Maybe I think he'll change his mind after we get to working together.
Why did you fly here? Aren't trains greener? There's a bus that goes.
Well, I know, but if he flew, that's a lot quicker too. You know, I mean, he's working very hard. For him to be, that's a very long drive. I'll stick up for you.
Are you affirming that you think President Trump is a fascist?
I've spoken about...
That's okay. You can just say yes.
Okay.
Okay. It's easier. It's easier than explaining it. I don't mind.
That is the flirtiest I've ever heard anyone say, you can call me a fascist. You can call me a fascist. You can call me I'll be whatever you want me to be. I've never seen someone so desperate to have another male friend. The nervous smile, the giddy laughter. And look, I'm not judging the man. I've been there. It reminds me of when I went day drinking with Paul Rudd. You know how many drunken texts I sent him afterward? That was so much fun. We should do that again. Are you free on Saturday? Sorry for being weird. It's just, I really needed this. This was good for me. Okay, sorry, I'm making it weird now. Trying to unsend LOL. Paul, just forget I said anything. Why are you ignoring me, Paul? What the hell, man? Did I drive you away? I always do this. Seth, you're being kind of a fascist. I'm fine with you saying that. But the most interesting part is that Trump undercut MAGA scare tactics. Before this meeting, they've been calling Mamdani a communist dictator who would impose Sharia law.
Comrade Mamdani is the face of the Democrat Party. We have an actual communist jihadist.
We have a communist coming to the White House because that's who the Democrat Party elected.
Republican Congresswoman Elise Stefanik is calling Zohran Mamdani, quote, a jihadist candidate for mayor. And Florida Congressman Randy Fine called him a Muslim terrorist.
Mamdani is a charismatic swindler.
This is going to be a crisis in the city of New York. To have a communist in there, this is the face of the Democrat Party now. And you saw that with everyone, coming in and bowing to him.
New York City's dark future with this aspiring rapper turned Marxist hero at the helm. I have friends of mine in New York. My phone is blowing up. They are officially depressed and scared. A full 9% of people say that they will leave. They said if he got elected, they're going to leave New York City.
Even if Sean is quoting an actual poll that said 9% of New Yorkers said they would leave, you have to take those numbers with a grain of salt because New Yorkers are always threatening to leave. Like, just last week at my bodega, I heard a woman say, $18 for a pack of Marlboros. That's it. Goodbye, New York, forever. And then I saw her again this morning buying 2 packs, and she saw me seeing her, and she said, why don't you take a closer look elsewhere, joke boy? Anyway, her name is Barb, and she's for real one of my top 10 favorite people in the city. But you heard them, a jihadist, swindler, communist has taken over New York City. Only America First hero patriot Donald Trump can save us now.
Mr. President, Republican Elise Stefanik has campaigned multiple times by calling Zohran Mamdani a jihadist. Do you think you're standing next to a jihadist right now in the Oval Office?
No, I don't.
Would you feel comfortable living in New York City under a Mamdani administration?
Yeah, I would. I really would.
What makes you comfortable?
We agree on a lot more than I would have thought. I think I want him to do a great job, and we'll help him do a great job. I feel very comfortable. I would feel very, very comfortable being in New York.
Sean Hannity is like, all my friends in New York are scared. And meanwhile, Trump is like, I have a friend in New York too. His name is Zoran. He's so rad. Can you imagine all the texts Hannity's getting from his friends now? Sean, you're not going to believe it. I walked past a halal truck and saw Zoran rapping with the president. Of course, it won't be remotely surprising if Trump changes his tune. We've seen it happen many times before. But the one takeaway that will last is that all the MAGA scare tactics evaporated. The right thought meeting Trump would be Zoran's worst nightmare, but it turns out meeting Zoran was Trump's
dream come true.
This has been A Closer Look.